Hey guys, welcome back to the Curse of Crystal Cove, Ep.6, and today we are going over Episode 6 of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, and it is called The Legend of Alice May. And for video watchers, you guys are probably like, what the heck, where are you? What are you doing? And for audio listeners, probably like, maybe this actually sounds like a lot better than it normally does. And there's a reason for that. And today, I am recording, and hopefully therefore on, I will be recording my podcast here in my podcast studio. It's not mine. I work here. This is my place of work's podcast studio. That we are about to open for people to come rent out in the area, and I'm just testing this out so I can, learn how to use learn how to use a mixer and learn better, the dynamics to this. So yeah, the episode starts with a kid getting ready for prom. Don't really know who this is. He gets into a limo with a girl. It's super dark, and she asks if he'll be like the one, like her one, and then she turns into a scary old lady. And then she asks if he will be her boyfriend forever and ever. And he screams, and that's the end of it. It's the opening credits. So it starts out with the guys being Shaggy and Scooby. They're watching Vincent Van Gogh, and they explain that there's a Vince Van Gogh marathon movie that's a week long that's going on, and they're super excited for that. And I'm learning what is best angles for the mic and stuff. So if you see me completely readjusting, I apologize. Velma is apparently also there. Like it scales back and then she's just there. And she's annoyed. And Shaggy's like, hey Scooby, can you go get some food? Whatever. And then Velma's like, yeah, the prom and their 1 month anniversary fall on the same week. And I was like, dude, 1 month? Wasn't it was last episode or the one before? I was talking about how they haven't even been dating that long and she's been trying to change him and shit. Like, holy balls, 1 month. That's it. That's crazy. She says that they'll officially come out as a couple, and then she wants to celebrate by watching the marathon alone. And Shaggy's like, haha, okay. Because obviously he doesn't want to tell Scooby that because that's his and Scooby's thing. So that's to school. Daphne asks Fred if he has plans for prom, and he's like, I'll do the same thing I do every year, monitor my police scanner and patrol the sewers. Okay, Freddy. Pop off, King, You do you. I love him. He asked Daphne if she does, and she's like, no, I don't, unless somebody asks me to prom. And Fred was like, good luck with that, King. And then Fred goes and helps some girl open her locker, and she's clearly flirting with him. She's like, oh my god, thank you so much. Flipping her hair and stuff, and she says that she's Alice May. And Freddie tries to introduce Daphne, but she gets jealous, and then she tries to get him to leave, and instead he gives her a model of the school that he says he's built several of them in his spare time, so she can help find her way around the school because she says she's new. She was like, wow, I think I'm gonna like it here. And obviously Daphne isn't happy because it's she knows that this girl is clearly flirting with Freddie, but he doesn't understand, and I understand. Cuts to the gang in the auditorium minus Fred, and Velma tells Shaggy that he needs to call the limo guy, and he was like, ha ha ha, yeah, I will do that. And then Fred shows up with Alice, saying that he was taking her for a tour around the school, and she was like, you're my white knight. Okay, Alice, you're being a little too straightforward here. The sheriff gets on stage and makes a PSA about some phantom limo with a ghost girl. We love that. And Daphne is obviously still salty about Alice May. And after this announcement that the sheriff makes on stage, she Freddie is like, "Oh, does everybody want to ride home?" And Velma and Shaggy were like, "Yeah, I'll take a ride home." But then Daphne was like, "No, I am gonna stay after school, and I'm gonna do." She says, "I'm gonna do research and figure out what happened to the kids that disappeared in the Crystal Cove caves." So she's angry, and obviously Fred, still everything going over his head. Get it? Normal Fred things. And then scene change to the night of Daphne in the library, and she notices that it seems like someone has tried to erase like literally everything about the missing kids, and a bunch of newspapers are cut out like of their pictures and stuff. It's super weird. And then her light goes off, and she's like, "What the heck? I'm still in here." And then Daphne sees somebody like lurking in the library, and she chases them, and then she follows them into the girls' locker room, and then there was like no one there, and she's like, it's probably my imagination, whatever. And then Alice May comes out of nowhere, and it was like, "Oh, they haven't turned the water on at my house, so that's why I came here to use the shower." And Daphne was like, uh, "Okay, I'm gonna go, bye." And then, but Daphne's like hiding around the corner, and then she sees Alice May have a key to go into the basement, so that's interesting. Um, and then it cuts to the gang at the radio station with Angel. Like, Slay, we love Angel. And Daphne explains to Fred that, like, something seems up with Alice. Like, it's kind of weird. She was there after work. Da, 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 da. And he was like, "Don't you think I'd know if she was a ghost girl?" And then Daphne was like, oh, not Daphne, Velma was like, I'm willing to bet no. And then Fred starts to go off about how much he likes a bunch of these different things about her, and that she smells nice and like all these things. And Daphne's like, "What the hell? You like her?" And he was like, look at the time." And then she says, "Fred, you're not wearing a watch." And he said, "Better go find one then." And then he skedaddles. And Angel was apparently doing research, and she finds out that these ghost girl attacks have been going on for years, apparently, which is like super strange. And then it cuts to the gang in the mystery machine, and they're like, "Where the heck are we going?" And Daphne was like, "Oh, I swiped Alice May's address. She had it in her locker, and we're gonna go there and figure out and find some clues." And everybody's like, "Okay, whatever." And then they end up at the Crystal Cove Cemetery, and they still decide to explore, and they're gonna split up. And Daphne was like, "Okay, me and Scooby are gonna go here, and then Shaggy and Velma can go wherever. Okay, we're gonna go look for clues." Um, and obviously, Velma's super excited about that. Velma asks Shaggy about prom stuff, and she's like, "Did you do this? Did you do this?" And he was like, No, I didn't." And she was like, Just tell me if you don't even want to go with me." And he was like, "Oh, thank God, like, I just like don't have to tell like Scooby, starting to like say shit." And then she just gets super angry, and then she starts like destroying headstones and kicking them out from the ground. And then he was like, I was just kidding. I was totally just kidding, okay? I'm literally just kidding." And then she's so happy again. And then they hear Scooby and Daphne scream, and you find out that they ran into this ghost girl, and it chases them, and they run into a mausoleum. Obviously, like the safest place in a cemetery to get away from a ghost girl, you run into a mausoleum. And then they find out that it's supposedly the like original Creeper's mausoleum, like it's at least his last name, Carlswell. And they were like, "What the heck? He's literally still alive and in jail. It's weird." And they decide to open up the tomb. You know, Normal things that you do when you go into a cemetery is that you would, you know, check to see if there's a body still there. And inside is like an old creeper mask and like a bunch of old creeper costume stuff. And then there's a transfer slip to Crystal Cove High. So they're like, "What the heck? That's a little suspicious." And then Fred shows up, and Daphne's like, "Alice May attacked us, and she's a ghost girl." But then everybody else in the gang was like, we literally have no idea who that was. Like, that could be anybody. Like, we genuinely don't know. And Daphne finds out that Fred said that he would go to the prom with Alice May, and obviously she's heartbroken. You know, she's super upset because he was like, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna listen to my police scanner and go in the sewers. Okay, slay Fred. Um, and then it cuts to like this montage of everybody getting ready for the prom. It's super cute. But then Daphne is all sad and she's in ready for prom. She's like reminiscing on this picture of Fred. So Daphne was like, she talked to her sister and she had this whole revelation, was like, oh my God, I need to go tell Fred that he can't go to the prom with Alice because like I've dreamt of going to the prom with him. And then so she shows up at his house and she's like, Fred, you can't go to the prom with her. Like, this is, I've dreamt of this. And every time I've dreamt of it, it's been in, like, you've been in it. And Freddie was like, okay, like, what the heck? Like, you know, it's probably more fun. Go with a friend anyways. And then when Alice shows up in the limo, he opens the door and is like, hey, bestie, I'm just going to go with Daphne as friends. I hope you understand. And then she just immediately leaves and is like, it cuts to her like mumbling, being like, "Oh, you'll find out," like what you did, whatever. It then goes to Shaggy and Scooby watching the Vincent Van Gogh marathon, and Shaggy says he's gonna go get food, but then Scooby sees him literally get into a limo, and he's like, "Oh, what the heck? Oh my God, he just got kidnapped by the ghost girl." So he's chasing this limo down the road because he thinks that he was a mess. He thinks that Shaggy was taken, and they get to school. Scooby watches the ghost girl get out of a different limo, but he thinks it's the same. She walks in, and then Daphne and Freddie are dancing, and she's clearly like in heaven and is like, "Oh, this is so nice." And then Scooby runs in and interrupts everything, and he's like, um, Scooby tells him that the ghost girl is there, and the ghost girl gets on stage, and she was like, "I hope you saved a dance for me, Freddie." And then everybody's obviously running out because she's like starting to throw stuff. And then Shaggy and Velma start to walk in, and somebody was like, or they asked what was going on, and someone was like, someone's mom is trying to kill Fred. Like, thanks for running the prom, mystery dorks. Love that. Whole gang is reunited just in time to run. Iconic. And then Daphne gets into Alice's locker to get the basement keys, so they're all safe down there. I don't know why that was like her first thought. Like, why wouldn't she like run out of the building? But um, and then they find a bag that they saw in the tomb when they saw like the original creeper costume, and then they see that Alice's clothes are in it, and that um there's like other creeper costume stuff in there, and they're like, I think it's time to set a trap. So that's what they do. And they like super easily catch her. It's not like a very intricate, detailed trap. It's just kind of like Fred is standing there and is like, "Hey, I saved a dance for you." And then she comes in and then they just kind of like grab a rope and pull her up by her hands. And it was, that's good. Simple, sweet. It worked. We love that. Proud of Freddie. Fred's dad walks in along with the sheriff, and then he was like, I thought I told you if you see a ghost girl, do not go to the prom with her. Iconic. And they unmask her, and it's Alice Carswell, which is her real name. And you find out, she's the original, or she's the daughter of the original Creeper. That's so crazy. So she said that she wanted to destroy the gang by like taking Fred, by the way that they destroyed her dad, whatever. You know, so crazy. And then it cuts to her getting taken away in the police car, and then it pans to Shaggy and Scooby talking, and they're clearly having an argument. And Scooby's like, "I do not care what you have to say. Are you serious?" Because clearly Shaggy has told him, that he was going to prom with Velma and that they were dating and like all this. So he's upset. And then Daphne sees that the sheriff didn't take Alice's backpack for evidence, and an old Crystal Cove yearbook falls out. And she was like, that's interesting. And there was a page marked, and it was the page that had the original Mystery Incorporated on it. And apparently they were obviously called Mystery Incorporated, but they were called like a mystery solvers group of Crystal Cove High, which is interesting. But yeah, they had like all their names, so now they know all their names, and that's fun. But then that's it from the gang. But then it cuts to Alice in jail, and she was like, "It took you long enough," and it's this random man that comes in, and you're like, "Who the heck are you?" And she was like, "It'll be a couple days before they realize he even had a daughter," and you're like, "What the heck? What the heck? This is crazy." And then she starts asking a bunch of questions to this man. She's like, "Why'd you get me to go into the basement to get this yearbook? Like, somebody was really trying to hide it. Like, it took me a long time to search for it." And, like, she was asking all these questions, and the guy was like, "You were paid for a job by Mr. E, and that's it. You got your money. Da 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 da. You don't need any more information." So, and that's like literally how it ends. It's this suspicious man that we don't know who he is, and clearly he works for Mr. E. But like, why the heck did Mr. E do that? What the heck? Anyways, but yeah, that's it. Feel like that was kind of quick. I didn't write a lot of notes down. It was like a very like minimal episode. I feel like not a lot of like information packed into it. But I'm gonna be playing around with this layout. Like I said, we are gonna like have some more stuff physically in the space. Gonna clean up the wires and stuff. Um, but yeah, I hope that this sounds nice and that I can edit well enough. Um, but yeah, I hope that everybody enjoyed the episode, and I hope that you have a good day, night, evening, whenever you are seeing this, and I will see you guys in the next episode.